Welcome to Channel's Business Global with me, Juliana Olayinka, reporting from just outside the Palace of Westminster in central London. Coming up on today's show, the UK government unveils plans to scrap Ofwat, the water sector's chief regulator, in what's being described a once-in-a-generation reform. Our Downing Street correspondent Simon Pusey joins me shortly with the latest, and we hear from Jeff Madzingo, CEO of Diaspora Insurance, about the growing demand for culturally relevant insurance products that support Africans living abroad. From funeral cover to repatriation plans, the company is reshaping how diaspora families manage risk and preserve dignity during life's most difficult moments. Then later, I sit down with Emeka Wangpa, publisher of the Nigerian Spokesman magazine, to unpack the latest US visa restrictions on African nations and to explore how Nigeria's global image is shifting under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu, from diplomacy and investment to the cultural identity of Nigerians abroad. But first, British MP Diane Abbott has been suspended once again from the Labour Party, reigniting controversy just months after she was readmitted following a long disciplinary process. The latest move comes after Abbott, the UK's first black female MP, said she did not regret previous remarks, suggesting that Jewish and traveller communities do not face racism in the same way black people do. Abbott had initially apologised for those comments in 2023, but in a recently resurfaced interview with the BBC, she doubled down, saying there must be a difference between racism, which is about colour, and other types of racism. Her remarks have been widely condemned, including by Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner, who said they were deeply disappointing. Labour sources say there is now no clear route back for Abbott, with senior figures suggesting she may be forced to stand down entirely. The suspension also places party leader Sir Keir Starmer on a collision course with left-wing allies of former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, many of whom continue to back Abbott and may now increase pressure for her reinstatement or consider a political breakaway of their own. The fallout comes amid broader tensions in Labour over internal discipline, with 4 other MPs also suspended this week for defying party positions on welfare and planning reform. Elsewhere, UK Conservative Party leader Cheme Badenoch is once again facing fierce backlash in Nigeria, this time over remarks questioning the country's citizenship laws. Speaking at a recent policy forum, Badenoch claimed it was virtually impossible to obtain Nigerian citizenship and used her own children as an example, stating they were ineligible because she is a woman. Her comments have been widely debunked by Nigerian constitutional lawyer Femi Falana and others who labelled them inaccurate and politically charged. Falana cited Section 25 of the Nigerian Constitution, which clearly grants citizenship to children of Nigerian parents, regardless of gender or place of birth. Falana accused Badenoch of weaponising misinformation in a bid to appeal to the British electorate, stating her children are Nigerians by law. Whether she accepts it or not is irrelevant. But this is not the first time Badenoch's comments about Nigeria have sparked outrage. She has previously been criticised for language perceived as dismissive of Africa and for remarks many felt reinforced damaging stereotypes. Her past statements on race, identity and post-colonial legacy have drawn rebukes not only from Nigerian officials but also from members of the UK's African diaspora. Now to the so-called water revolution. A sweeping review led by Sir John Cunliffe has recommended scrapping Ofwat and replacing it with a single, more powerful regulator. The move comes amid growing outrage over sewage spills and a projected 36% rise in household bills by 2030. Well, for more, I was earlier joined by our Downing Street correspondent Simon Pusey. Big talking point this week is about water. This is an island.
Yeah,
but we have issues with water in this country.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's in the last few years, especially the Liberal Democrats have been jumping on this particularly,
right.
And pollution into the rivers, how much money that businesses are making, water companies are making.
Overcharging.
They were privatised, they used to be nationalised, they're now privatised, so a lot has been made of investors and taking money out of the company, getting big dividends,
Thames Water have been struggling as well.
While they're in huge debts. So the companies are in huge debts, but the executives at the companies and the shareholders are taking millions of pounds. And then you see the pollution on the other side, and you're thinking, exactly, we're an island, we're not short of water generally. What's going on?
Yeah.
It's obviously a really important thing, something we take for granted.
Yes.
Water coming out of the taps, and generally everything's sort of functioning. But
we've got this Cunliffe review.
So the Cunliffe review, exactly 88 recommendations, one of which is to do away with the current regulator. This is Ofwat. This is the regulator that looks into, is supposed to keep a tidy ship. And the review is saying that hasn't been the case, so that there should be an abolishment of that, and a number of other different regulators should be brought under one powerful body. I think the problem with this is lots of people are saying you're just rehashing the same old thing. You're going to get another regulator that is toothless, that isn't going to be able to take charge. And the problem is when the regulator has to suddenly look after all of these people with multiple vested interests, it can become a bit wishy-washy. So it remains to be seen what will happen there. But it's a very important thing.
Steve Reed is always on the airwaves talking about water.
And it's a political thing as well. So the Liberal Democrats have been all over this for a long time. It predates the Labour Party. It predates Conservatives. It's something that we've been living with for a long time. But whether it's going to become nationalised remains to be seen. We've obviously seen the railways going that way. And Labour generally would be the party to renationalise something, but under Sir Keir Starmer, you never really know, because they're not that Labour under Sir Keir Starmer. So let's see what happens. But it's the private industry is saying it's going to cost £100 billion if you were to nationalise it. But other people say that is the private industry talking. They don't want it to be nationalised, so of course they're going to say that. I think one thing can be agreed upon by everyone is that the current system isn't working. When you've got executives taking millions of pounds in dividends, and yet the water companies are all in debt, and ultimately it's the user that loses, right? We've seen water prices rising year on year, and it doesn't look like that's going to stop. And we're currently in the middle of a drought, or there's a hosepipe ban. So things need to change. I don't think it's one of those things that isn't a quick win for Sir Keir Starmer. It's a sort of long term.
Thank you, Simon. Now from water reform to wealth protection. As the African diaspora continues to grow across the UK and beyond, many families are seeking financial solutions that reflect their cultural values and cross-border realities. One company aiming to fill that gap is Diaspora Insurance. I sat down with their CEO, Jeff Madzingo, to discuss how tailored policies, from funeral cover to repatriation, are helping African families plan with dignity and peace of mind. I did some research on your business, and I think it's quite exciting. Talk to me about the reasons why you decided to set it up.
Basically our business is Diaspora Insurance, and the reason we started the Diaspora Insurance 14 years ago, counting, was largely informed by a lot of factors affecting the African diaspora, and also experiencing personal tragedies where people in the diaspora lose their loved ones, either in the diaspora or back home, and financing was always a problem, resulting in a lot of people being reduced to beggars.
Was there like a particular incident? What triggered you? Like, what's your background for you to have said, no, I need to create a product?
My insurance, I'm a banker by profession, and what really triggered me is I think some things build up from how you are brought up, and I naturally tend to have a knack of and focus of trying to create solutions for all the problems that I see around. So I tend to want to say, what is the solution, rather than worrying to say we've got a problem. I want to say we've got a problem, yes, but what is the solution? So my background as a banker, looking at how the communities were suffering, people grieving and begging every time we lose someone in the diaspora. Tragically, also in 2011, I lost my best friend in the UK, Lincoln Makotore. And I also, the following year, in February 2012, lost my only brother in the UK. And in both cases, we really struggled to raise the funding to take their bodies back home to Africa.
You talk about the solution. What's the difference between the solution you're providing and the solution you could get down the road there at a funeral service.
Yeah, the thing is with the correct financial advisory is that a solution should speak to the needs of the target market.
That's right.
And that's when we talk of the suitability of a product. And it is very critical, even from a regulatory point of view, that the solution you are giving is suitable for the need. So the solution that we gave is a solution developed and designed by African diasporas for African diasporas.
Yeah. Before we go, Jeff, I want you to talk to me about some of the products, some of the services, some of the hidden issues that people were not aware of until, unfortunately, a loved one passes away. What support and solutions does your firm provide?
Yeah. Basically, back on the point we have just been discussing, it's important to everyone to understand and appreciate that by taking insurance, what form of insurance, whether it's funeral, life cover, car insurance, it's not to invite trouble. It's just planning, and the planning per se is just bringing the future into the present.
It's an insurance.
Yeah, you're bringing the future into the present,
Yeah.
so that you create a solution for your good if anything was to go wrong.
That's
right. The purpose of insurance. And our solution is what we call Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan. And a Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan is a policy we developed 14 years ago, and has grown exponentially. We are now covering 20 African nationalities wherever they are in the world. And the funeral cash plan is a very, very innovative product in that, like I said, it speaks to our needs, it speaks to the issues of transnationality. We do it as a cash-based funeral policy. We don't give goods and services. It's structured as a financial intervention. So within 24 hours of receiving proof of death, we make sure that the bereaved family gets their money. Once they get their money, it's in hard currency. And why we keep it as cash is because it then gives you protection without borders. You can be in the UK, you can choose to relocate to Australia, you can choose to relocate to Canada, Florida. It doesn't matter where you are, your policy still protects you. But even better still, with our policy, we allow people to cover their families back home. So the average African diaspora becomes a cash cow.
Wow.
Over the time, you become a cash cow for your family back home in Africa.
I don't know if all of us want to be a cash Jeff, don't invite we have millions of viewers, Jeff. I don't know if we want cash cow title.
You may not want it, but the clan
It's
back
a
home,
fact.
the village back
They
home
need
looks
it.
up to you.
They rely,
Yeah,
yes.
they rely on you. So
Yeah.
what we want solving is we want to remove the financial shock of a diasporan facing death in the diaspora, and at the same time the financial shock that comes with the news that mom, daddy, brother is died back home, and they expect you to fund the funeral. Naturally, they say, the brother is in the UK, the brother in Sydney in Australia, the brother is in New York, they'll help with the funeral.
right.
So we are trying to manage that financial shock and remove
Absolutely.
it from the
Honestly,
diaspora.
it's so innovative and thoughtful and timely and important, and it's something that you've of course been nurturing for the past 14 years. Really important to have you on. Just before you go, Jeff, again, you know, people are receiving these phone calls and text messages all day, every day. If somebody has just received such sad news, what is your advice on the first steps that they should take, please?
Yeah, basically, over the long term, issues of location, issues of choice are fluid. So they are not fixed. So you want a solution that speaks to that. And if someone gets bad news, if they are on our portfolio as a client, the first thing we need is just to have proof of death. And they fill in a claim form. We make sure that everything is okay and is validated within 24 hours. Cash is available. Whether you are covered, it's cash for you to travel back home to a funeral, or it's cash for you to cover a funeral offshore in the diaspora. We make sure that the cash is available immediately.
Coming up on Channel's Business Global, I sit down with Emeka Nwankpa, publisher of the Nigerian Spokesman magazine, to unpack the latest US visa restrictions on African nations and to explore how Nigeria's global image is shifting under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, from diplomacy and investment to the cultural identity of Nigerians abroad. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Channel's Business Global with me, Juliana Olayinka, reporting from just outside the Palace of Westminster in central London. Fresh visa restrictions from the United States are fueling concern across the African continent. The new policy, announced earlier this month, limits most visa holders from Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia and Cameroon to single entry 3-month visas. For many Nigerian professionals, students and families, this marks a major reversal from previous multi-entry arrangements, and it raises fresh concerns about global mobility under Donald Trump's second term. Anybody that wants to travel to the US from Nigeria is now facing new visa restrictions. Quite disappointed actually that Donald Trump lumped Nigeria in that. Were you disappointed?
In international relations, I know bilateralism is a concept. Two nations, bilateral relations. I believe beyond what we have seen, beyond the facade, I think there are some back channel engagement going on.
Yeah.
I believe so. Remember the last word from the presidency, that's the Bola Tinubu presidency, directing government agencies at its ministries, departments and agencies to comply with whatever the visa,
the host nation,
yes. And then and also ask the agencies to do what we call intergovernmental relations.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, we still ended up on the list, sir. We're on that banned list.
We're not on the banned list. We're not banned.
We're not banned, but there are restrictions.
We're not banned. Restrictions can
always be
reviewed. Even the State Department said the global standards in visa issue, visa administration can be reviewed.
Yeah.
And it's not meant to last forever. So I believe, and if you look at the way the president operates, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the way he operates doesn't make noise. And it's not for the popularity of it. I believe that man that I've watched for a long time now, some back channel engagements are going on.
Okay, so
because he has the interests of Nigerians at heart.
Now, let's dive into the topic.
Let's go.
Since you went there first,
right.
Let's dive in.
Right.
As you know, I've travelled extensively with the president over the past 24 months. Doha to Davos to Beijing to Rio de Janeiro. What tangible investments or opportunities do you think President Bola Tinubu has brought back home that has helped improve brand Nigeria around the world?
I don't think I can even put them at my fingertips.
I want you to bring
They are coming in droves. Are you talking about Brazil with the JBS, the livestock industry that is coming on a brand new slate in Nigeria? Are you talking about the FDI, foreign direct investment, that are coming, even the portfolio investment that are coming in from all over the world because of just one man, a man's vision, because of a man's passion and commitment? Juliana, I want to tell you, and I want to tell your global audience, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has come at such a time as this. That is why he doesn't make noise, and that's why I love him. He doesn't make so much noise, but you will see the genuineness in his job. Now, if you look at the visa thing, what the State Department, I thought they are reacting to, Nigeria unfolded an e-visa administration.
Yes.
You know whether you don't understand it, or maybe they have something else. But I know that with what the State Department, with what they said, that visa issuance policy, visa administration, they are meant to be reviewed from time to time. So there is no dead end. Now, where it matters, the interests of Nigerians, the president cares so much about this nation.
Some would say that the president lacks empathy at times. Like that's
Well,
what some would say.
I don't know what kind of empathy they are talking about. Now, the way government operates, president, the chief executive of the federation, of course, he has layers of functionaries, and when those layers go out to perform their duties, they do that on behalf of the president. Now, the last place the president visited, Benue, how did it happen? He took that decision at a function. I don't know what. They just said, "Hey, gentlemen, I need to be in Benue," and then everything changed. Since he got to Benue, the narrative has changed. That is not to say that the president should be everywhere junketing. No, that is not presidentialism. The presidency under Bola Ahmed Tinubu has layers. He has functionaries, he has ministers, he has heads of agencies. As long as he has service chiefs, he has the Inspector General of Police. As long as these officials, functionaries, carry out their function, the executive functions of Mr. President, Mr. President is doing his job.
Okay, so the president said when he came into office that he was going to reposition Nigeria as a serious,
and he's doing that very well,
as a serious global player across the world.
Yes.
Have we? There were 5 African leaders sitting in front of Trump a couple of weeks ago. Nigeria was nowhere to be found.
So what came out of that engagement?
I'm focused
Nigeria
on
cannot be there again. Nigeria cannot be there.
Why?
Nigeria is a giant in Africa. Now, less than a month and a few days after Mr. President assumed duties, from May 29th, 2023, in July, I think July 4th, was made ECOWAS chairman. Unprecedented. ECOWAS chairman. And then from the moment he assumed the stage, he took over. Nigeria found its voice. And I want to tell you, the way the world is structured, you must first control your sub-region in layers. You must control your sub-region. As far as West Africa is concerned today, Nigeria remains the leader. When Mr. President finished with his 1-year mandate, he was massively endorsed for another term of 1 year, maybe 2 years. Mind you, at the time he came on board, West Africa became beset with a raft of military coups, some challenges. But Mr. President took it in his stead. He took it in his stride. As a sub-regional leader, Mr. President welcomes suggestions from everybody. He welcomes ideas from everybody. Forget about the fact that he's a contender politician. When the Supreme Court gave him the final verdict, his first message, he invited everybody to be on board. Nigeria is all we have, you and I. Juliana, let me tell you, this shirt I'm wearing, this shirt was given to me by a friend, a Muslim, and from the north. Do you know the symbolism of that? Say, my brother, we are one. God has his reason for bringing us together. And that's why, like, I will look into the camera. Nigerians all over the world, we have Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He means well for Nigeria. He means well for Nigeria.
Well, sadly, that's all we have time for today, but as always, do get in touch with your comments and suggestions. I'll see you at the same time next week for more in-depth business analysis on Channel's Business Global. Goodbye.